2-1 to Plymouth. I know we are. Not sure if you heard that, but what was that, Michael Bridges? Look, I know that we don't focus outside of ourselves. We look at what we do and we do our job well. We've done that here today. But this just feels very big, because to have those two things simultaneously running alongside each other, and knowing that now there is a 5-point gap between us at the top of the table and Sheffield United in third with just 4 games to go, you can see why Daniel Farke is there applauding the fans, can't you, Bridget?
And Sheffield United have got to play Burnley, let's not forget that. One of them teams are going to drop points. If not both teams drop points this today. I mean, it could have been a massive scoreline, the amount of chances we created. It wasn't, and I was really nervous. I kept looking at Stu towards the end of the game going, let's hope it's not one of these games that we've dominated, we've had chances, we haven't scored, and you get a sucker punch against you. I've played in them games, it's horrendous. No, the lads were fully focused, they've got the result, and it was lovely to hear the Sheffield United score filter around the ground. It was like a Mexican wave went around when it transitioned across the ground that it was 2-1.
And then there was a cheer, wasn't
Absolutely
there?
Brilliant. So that's what you say, the players, we recognise that, you know what's going on because of the fans' reaction, and they've seen it out. Another massive result at Elland Road.
Yeah, a huge 3 points. It really does feel, I don't want to get carried away, Stuart, but it really does feel momentous, this. There's something about this result at this stage of the season that feels big for us.
Yeah, it feels huge. Let's be honest, we're within touching distance now because of that Sheffield United result. It felt a little bit Barnsley-esque the year that we went up. You know, the year that we got promoted a few years back, it felt like we played Barnsley here. I think we won 2-1, and that's sort of what it felt like there. A little bit nervous towards the end, but listen, they've put themselves in a fantastic position, and look at what it means to the fans.
The
it means
celebrations,
so much.
the scenes are great.
It's incredible.
And I've just had a message from Don Matteo, who's over with the Dubai Whites. They're celebrating long and hard after this result as well. It's an early kick-off. It's a better time zone for them. So, you know, every Leeds fan around the world, just massive, massive scenes. And let's just hope that this man can get the job done and get us back to the promised land in the Premier League.
I mean, it sounds like the Dubai Whites are having a great time.
Yeah.
So you just carry on celebrating there. But Daniel Farke, you know, you mentioned him there. You can see what it means to him. But just sum up for us, Bridgie, how he's going to be feeling after that. Because if it feels big for us, it's going to feel huge for him.
I think the huge result was the Middlesbrough game. I think he talks about how comfortable he feels at Elland Road with the players, with the tactics that he's instilled, that Stu mentioned before the game. The players know exactly how to execute a game plan. And I think that Middlesbrough result was bigger for Daniel Farke and the team than today's was, because...
I'm so happy for Daniel, because there's questions being asked of him within that run-in. You know, as a ex-player now, I can read stuff online, and you know, I've seen a lot of fans putting pressure on him. So I'm delighted for him that he's responded with 2 wins, 2 huge wins, and he'll be delighted, and he knows they're not far away. Yeah.
And he's also completely kept the faith. You know, he's completely said, I truly believe that we are getting promoted this season. And that message will have infiltrated.
It's a bold statement that he made to make it.
It's massive, because you know...
on a pedestal to get chopped down.
Yeah, you've got a target on your back then, haven't you? As soon as you say that. But how much will that have boosted the players' confidence? Because if you hear the boss saying that, then you know that he believes in you.
I've played managers that have said it in-house and have said just keep it down, but then to actually come out and make a big statement like that, you know, he puts himself up. So you know that is huge for him.
Yeah, it's huge, and it gives the players huge belief. These players they've got quality. They've went through a bit of a sticky patch, but they've responded with 2 good wins.
Well, look, lads, we have got the man who scored that winning goal waiting in the tunnel to chat to us. Jaden Bogle, huge congratulations. Can you just sum up how you and your teammates are feeling right now? Because it looks incredible out there.
Yeah, it was amazing. The atmosphere when the final whistle went was something I've never heard before. It was crazy, yeah, still trying to deal with it now, but yeah, it was an amazing result.
Jane, I've got to ask you, I'm sitting next to Stewie Dallas here. He's claiming an assist for your goal because he did tell all the viewers, he had a chat before the game and said, you're going to score today.
Yeah, no, he's spot on. He said it in the tunnel before the game, so yeah, 100% an assist.
It's a good job you've backed me up, Jaden, because I'd have looked the right fool there if you hadn't.
Nah, 100% said it. He did.
Yeah, no, I just want to ask you, what did it feel like when, obviously, when you're playing and you see the reaction from the crowd when goals are going in elsewhere? How did that feel as a player? Was it hard to concentrate, or
when Sheffield United
scored, obviously, or
yeah,
when they conceded? Sorry.
I was that focused on the game, I didn't even notice.
Professional answer.
It was just one of them games where you've just got to keep going until the final whistle, and I think all the boys done that today.
Have you had a chance to have a chat to the lads on the field as you were walking off? Was anything said? Did Daniel Farke say anything to you personally? Because the relief after the Middlesbrough result the other night, I said, was huge for you lads. But obviously at home, a lot more relaxed. I was expecting this result. What was said? Have you had a chance?
Yeah, it's just important that we keep focusing on ourselves and take it game by game. That's all we can do. We're only in control of what we can do, and hopefully the rest takes care of itself.
You're a lot more calm and composed than we are here in the studio, Jaden, I'll tell you that. You know, when I asked you about how you were feeling, you said the atmosphere here at Elland Road, it was different. You've never quite felt it like that before. Why is that? Can you just describe it for us, Jaden?
I think, especially with how the game went, it was still tight right until the end. So I think a lot of relief came out when the final whistle went. But yeah, it was just an amazing feeling.
Well, 4 more games to go, Jaden. What is the approach now? What's the feeling and the attitude ahead of these?
Just take it game by game, onto the next one, focus on that one, and yeah, just hopefully other results take care of themselves, but we can only focus on what we do.
Well, I'm going to get an assist for this one. You're going to score next game, Jaden. There you go. Get yourself on the score sheet again, my friend.
Hopefully.
No pressure, Jaden. We have actually got your goal to have a look at. Let's have a little look at your goal. And while we're having a look, can you just tell us exactly what it was that Stuart Dallas said to you, Jaden?
Yeah, he just tapped me on the back and said I'm going to score today. And yeah, once Mano gets in them situations there, he's more than likely going to get a cross or a shot off. So yeah, just gambled on the back post.
No, I think you've been outstanding this season, to be honest with you. I think your goals and assists, the way you play suits the team so well. And you know, we talk about desire and drive and ambition to go and make things happen, and I think this is a perfect example of it. You see Manor in that position, and you're able to get in and make things happen. So it's fantastic, and delighted to see it for you.
Cheers, thank you.
Does Daniel Farke, is that one of them key messages from the staff as well? Because I saw DJ's goal the other night against Middlesbrough. He showed a very similar determination to get in front of the defenders, and obviously as fullbacks you're getting a lot more licence to do so, and you'll be thriving on it. Is that a key message that he's given?
Yeah, and the fact that we've got so many players that are so good in 1v1 situations, it helps, because you know more than likely that the cross is going to come in. So that helps as well. And yeah, the message is to, when people are out wide, get crosses in and get as many people in the box as possible.
Jaden, what's the feeling like amongst yourself and your teammates at this stage of the season? How's morale?
Yeah, the morale's high. I think everyone's just trying to stay as relaxed as possible and just take it game by game, stay focused each day in training, and then when it comes to match day, just keep a cool head and go out and try and get the best result.
Well, you certainly did that today. Huge congratulations on the winning goal and another 3 points. Thank you so much for chatting to us, Jaden.
Cheers, thank you.
Different class,
Take
well
care.
done.
Cheers.
Thank you so much, Jaden Bogle there. Yeah, I am going to be honest, lads. He's a lot more calm than us here in the studio. He speaks with real maturity, doesn't he, Stuart?
He does, and that's he's an experienced player. He's been there before. I find it crazy, not crazy, but it's, you know, he's talking about the atmosphere. He's never heard anything like that, and let's be honest, he's come from a club that plays at Bramall Lane, and it's a fantastic atmosphere as well. So special credit to the Leeds fans. But yeah, he's very, very mature. He's one of the leaders in the dressing room as well. He's a popular figure within it, and yeah, I think he's been brilliant this season.
He's very calculated as well, which is a reflection of the manager, Daniel Farke, and not getting too carried away, not getting too down, just going at it. And like you say, I think the experience comes with that. But this season, you've nailed it. This season he's having. He
started off a little bit tricky at the start, simply because he's at a new club. He's finding his feet, as you say, and it was a little bit tricky for him at the start. But he's been fantastic ever since. His goals, assists, and I keep coming back to Luke. He's following Luke Ayling, do you know what I mean? Which is hard for anybody to do because of how well liked he was at the club and what he produced. So for Jaden to come in and do what he's done is, you know, it's phenomenal. And
how important are leaders like that in the dressing room particularly at this stage of the season? You know, from your experience when you're so close, how crucial are those players?
Yeah, these players are huge, and you know, they all have to step up. They all have to take a responsibility. But Jaden, being a senior figure and experience in promotion before, you know, you can't buy that. Well, obviously they bought him, but you can't. You know what I mean? You can't. It's invaluable, really. But players like him, like Patrick Bamford again coming on today, and you know, you touched on it, Bridgie, during the game. He held the ball up in the corner one time, and nothing fancy, just a bit of know-how and game management. And Jaden's exactly the same, and not just going forward. We're talking about him going forward and scoring goals. Defensively, he's been good as well. So. You know, full credit to him.
Do you know what I love as well about it? It's all good and well having fullbacks that are playing in this system that get that amount of touches inside the opposition penalty area. The amount of assists and goals they've got this season. But there's a bit of tactics behind that, because if you're going forward and there's spaces to exploit for the opposition, there's a lot comes with the two centre-halves that we've got the understanding, the two defensive midfielders that have got to do jobs. So tactically, the lads have embraced this, and they're playing lovely football to watch.
Well, look, we'll talk more about the game shortly, but first let's head back over to the tunnel, shall we, and catch up with our commentary team this afternoon, Bryn Law and Tony Dorigo.
We'll probably have a little talk about the game as well, Emma, I would imagine. And why not? Because big beaming smile tells its own story. Got there in the end, eh?
Yeah, we did. We did get there in the end, and that's the most important thing. The only thing that matters is getting those 3 points somehow, some way. But the way we do things could be a lot easier. But they showed, great determination today, great ability as well, and some really good performances out there. But we never were comfortable. Couldn't get that third goal. We should have got it a couple of times, but didn't. But doesn't matter. We got those 3 points, which was vital. Yeah,
it had a sense of grind it out for quite a long period, didn't it? Because to get back in front after a great start and all the rest of it, they had to show other qualities then on that basis. Yeah, and winning titles and getting promotion, it's not about playing fantastic all the time. It's in the difficult moments, it's seeing those through. And at certain times in a game, in a season, you're not going to be on top, you're not going to be at your best. Got to try and take advantage when you are, and when you're not, you keep the other team out. And it was one of those performances again that had a bit of everything in it. I want a boring game, Bryn, I really do, but I'm not getting them, okay? But what I am getting is great determination, a group of players that are working hard for each other, and we couldn't get that third, but we saw it out. And because the key was, all right, you're not going to get the third perhaps, but the one thing you mustn't do is concede the second. Yeah, and you look at some decision making at times, and Darlow, I thought he had a fantastic game. But just once he comes outside the box and makes a mistake. But I think Aronson was there for the free kick to block that one. And then after that, we weren't in too much trouble. But just by putting a load of bodies on, Preston made us defend, made us sweat a little bit. And while the space was opening up, we couldn't take that chance at the other end. So it became an exciting finish, but way too exciting. And whilst the players are out there, you've just heard Jaden Bogle talk about being calm, because all around them was going mad, because news of the Plymouth goal, 2 goals, was spreading through the crowd. So the noise levels rose, and it kind of got pretty hysterical. But the players still got to keep play the game, haven't they? You do, and it's difficult. I've been in that situation where I've heard results from elsewhere that help you, and you're trying to block it out, but it gives you a lift at the same time. But he rightly said, Jaden, that it is all about keeping calm, just focusing on the next game. And it sounds a real boring thing to say, and I'm going to say it again and again and again, because that's the right thing to do. And that's what they showed today. And hearing that from Jaden is really good to hear. Whereas in the commentary positions and probably in the studio, we're allowed to not keep calm. Is that right? We're not calm. Of course we're not calm. We're like everyone else. We get caught up in these moments. But players, it's really important that they do that. And that's what I've certainly seen from this group of players, and maybe other teams are not doing that. So the gap, all of a sudden, it's been so tight. Mm-hmm. There was a gap initially, then that was closed up, and there's a gap appeared again there now, because it's 1 or 2, isn't it, in terms of where you want to end up in the season. That's all that matters, 1 or 2. You're right. I think for us looking at it now, 5 points is a great gap. 4 games to go. We're in a great position, to go up. If I'm a player, you know what? Let's go and win this title. Let's go out there and be positive and take it. Take it to the other teams rather than thinking, well, we just hang on in those top 2. But again, just be looking at that next game, focusing on that, recovering from this one, doing all the right things, and going again. You're speaking like a manager there, Tony. Talking of which, really? We'll probably hear from the manager fairly shortly. The real manager, that is.
Yeah, he did sound a bit like a manager there, didn't he, Tony Dorigo? And words
of wisdom.
Yes, but it sounds so simple, but it is actually very difficult. Well, it's difficult for us to not get excited, but as a player at this stage of the season, you'll both know, how difficult is it to keep your cool and to keep a steady head?
I couldn't keep a steady head.
I know, I'm asking the wrong person.
I used to embrace it and love it. And
not just at this stage of
No, not this all the time. No, it was. I remember we were top of the league. I go back to it. We beat Derby away, 99-2000 season. And we're going top of the league at Christmas, and I was in the Peacock till about 9 a.m. in the morning celebrating and just getting carried away. I didn't know how to put a level head. I needed Gary Kelly, Lucas Wadebe to come and just say, just relax a little bit, because
You couldn't
full of joy. I
relax.
couldn't relax. And,
Were you doing that? Were you in the Peacock?
No, I wasn't. No, the game's changed since many
Since
many
what, black
moons
and
ago.
white TV? Yeah, thanks,
since
Steve.
many moons ago. But yeah, it's hard because obviously you do look at what else is going on with other teams and where you are in the table, and you come out in interviews and you say you don't, but you do. Well, I did anyway. But
we've just been looking at the table now to work out the games.
It's but let's like when we think back to even a week ago, you know, there were some fans. They thought it was just a playoffs. They were like, "Oh, it's done. We've got to go to Middlesbrough." And now look, you're 5 points clear of third place. So it's incredible how momentum changes and it swings. But the players know. They'll know. Obviously, the job's not done. They've got to keep going. But you know, Daniel will be trying to keep a lid on it for sure.
But keeping your cool is exactly what they managed to do today. That Manor Solomon goal, I'm sure I heard you say. You did say, didn't you? That's up there for goal of the season.
One of the goals of the season, yeah.
Let's have a look at this, because what an incredible start this was. And Manor Solomon in general has been incredible, hasn't he, this game?
And what I take into consideration when you talk about goals of the season, it's a spectacular goal, but it's in a game where the nerves are there. There's a team that are defending in numbers with like 11 back behind the ball, and he makes this opportunity for himself with a touch that he knows exactly what he's doing as soon as he realises that he's got a radius of 7 or 8 yards around him where there's no player in his sight. The touch out his foot is absolutely lovely because he opens up the angle, and to beat the goalkeeper in that manner for such a big game in the way that it was, and we had to get a good early start, I just think that's a special goal from any player. But he is a player I admire so much, Emma. Yeah,
completely, because ahead of this one, Bridgie, you know, you were talking about how powerful the mind is and how much so much of it is in there. And like what we were just saying, Stuart, keeping your cool is not easy in a game like this, but that's a fine example of it from Manor Solomon, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a perfect example, and it's a bit like the other night. We started on the front foot, and it sort of gets you into the rhythm of the game. It takes all the pressure away because obviously there's pressure on to get the first goal, and you know, it's just a fantastic. There's hardly any backlift. He just you know, you could look at the goalkeeper and think he's a wee bit off he's not set right. I don't know if you're being really, really picky, but that finish is absolutely incredible, and we've seen him do it. We've seen him do it till Leeds before, actually.
And by the way,
that type of finish.
This was a big gamble, getting Solomon in at the start. There's no doubt about it that the quality that he possessed. He'd had a lot of injuries leading into his career, was stumbling, this and that. A big gamble to take him on and get him going. And every game I've seen him, he got better and better and better. And now he's the diamond that has come out.
Yeah, he's a big, and the coaching staff and the medical staff have probably got to take credit for how they've loaded him throughout the season, the games they've played him in. And sometimes, you know, when as fans, he maybe doesn't play as much as you want him to play, and you can criticise the manager, but you've got to take into consideration how his body is, and that's all monitored by GPS, everything. So the medical staff have obviously been brilliant with him. They've kept him fit most of the season. He's had a few injuries, of course, but he's been delivering. And, you know, again, going back to fans, we were talking last week that he hadn't produced anything in 7 or 8 games, and now within 2 games he's 2 assists, a goal.
Funny how things change, isn't it?
Yeah, so
but
it's the world of football.
Yeah, but that's also why we don't get too excited either. No, we are really. And also, you know, it was disappointing to concede so soon after that goal coming from Kesler Hayden, but our response to that, you know, we didn't get overawed, we didn't panic, we just continued to play our game, didn't we, Bridgie?
Yeah, and that could have totally derailed it mentally. Like I said, you could have started feeling sorry for ourselves, thinking, oh, well, we've opened up, we've allowed this to happen. I mean, it's a tremendous finish from Hayden that we pointed out before the game when Stuart was saying one of the main threats. However, that reaction from us to bounce back and say, that's not going to affect us, let's just continue with our trend in the style that we play, because what we do, we create chances, and the stats are out the roof. I still can't believe it's only 2, by the way, because I did go bold, didn't I, when 5-0, 5-1.
5-0 ahead of the game, 5-1 at half-time.
It could have been 10 goals on another day, but that is thankfully we managed to get the 3 points from it.
It's almost better that they did score so early, because if it drags on and it goes into the second half and then they equalise, then everybody starts to panic. But the fact that they scored almost immediately, it was as if the game was just starting again. Do you know what I mean? And they were on a clean slate and you just have to go again. So for me, it was probably better that they did score so soon rather than it dragging on a bit and then changing the atmosphere in the stadium.
Well, the score soon changed because Jaden Bogle, you know, you gave him your top tip. Jaden, you're going to score today, and so he did. He made it 2-1, and we did say, didn't we, at this point at half-time, Bridgie, it was going to be, it's still edgy when you're at 2-1.
Yeah, it's always edgy and nervous times, but we've talked to him, we've had a chat with him. He clarified that Stewie was the main man behind this goal, not Solomon with the assist. But I just love the determination that he's shown there, and again, it just comes back to this man, Daniel Farke, allowing the fullbacks to have the freedom to go forward. And yeah, Jaden Bogle, I mean, that's just another marvellous insight and goal into what we possess, and I just love it because the determination that he does.
Do you know as well, he's obviously had a bit of a different role today, Jaden, simply because Dan James wasn't playing. We see where Nanto's out there. Dan James is usually the one at the back post, but Nanto's in the middle of the goal making a run towards the front post, and Jaden's recognised it, and he's took it upon himself to get in at the back, and it's, you know, it's put on a plate for him, but he's still got to go and finish it.
What a season he's having, man.
He really is. Look, Bridgie, you were just talking about Daniel Farke giving the players the freedom. Stuart, how much of a blessing is it to have a manager like that does give you the freedom?
Not the word freedom. He didn't like it when I said that. Remember, I said, did the play freedom in the front third? He said, no, it's all structured.
Oh,
there is method in the matter.
Yeah, it's coached. It's coached.
Structured freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of players that can play in different positions, and you know, it's sometimes they do play off the cuff as all players normally do, all attacking players usually do. But I think he's utilised the forward players really well this year, Daniel, and obviously still having the majority of them fit. Obviously Dan's injured at the minute is, you know, it's huge. But yeah, I don't know about freedom, as Bridgie said. He doesn't really like that word.
There's a structure behind it, but it's
freedom suggests he maybe doesn't coach as much as what.
He didn't like it when we said
And
that.
so very good, Daniel, if you're watching.
Didn't want you getting in trouble, Emma. I've got your back.
But look, we are going to hear from the boss very shortly, actually. He's going to join Bryn and Tony. But how do you think he's going to be feeling after that? You know, we could see him going and applauding the fans. Yeah. I think we could see how much it means to him. But what is he going to be thinking? Because he knows there's still a small stretch to go, Bridgie.
He's been there before. He's done it. He knows what it takes. He's not going to get too carried away. I can tell you quietly. He's not going to come out and say it. I can tell you quietly behind the scenes. This last two results, knowing that Sheffield United have gone and done what they've done, and an absolute capitulation when we've galvanised and got 6 points. He, at the back of his mind, he's going, today, I reckon there's just one more result needed and we are done.
He'll be so proud of the players, because honestly the pressure you're under playing for this club to try and get them over the line is huge. And I keep going back to the run that we were on there, not only having won one game in 6 and then to go to Middlesbrough to back it up a few days later as well. You know, it takes a lot, emotionally, mentally, physically, everything, and he'll be absolutely delighted with it.
Plus, we'll be knowing that we've got 2 more home games to come.
Well, he has touched on that in recent weeks, hasn't he? That if we win their home games,
yeah,
we'll be in with a good chance. He knows they're not far away.
Just on what you said there, Stuart, I think, and I'm not being all woe is me, because football players, as a rule, you have lovely lives, don't you? But I think we're all guilty of almost overlooking the pressure that is on you guys when you're out there, because we're so invested as fans and we so badly want this to happen that we almost, and obviously we're acutely aware of any errors that are made out there, but it must be hard having the weight of that pressure on you.
It is, and Daniel's very, very good at taking the pressure off the players. You know, Elland's situation last week, it was a perfect example, and he didn't come out and criticise him, so he's really, really good at taking the pressure off and just letting them play.
Well, let's get the thoughts of the boss himself, shall we? Daniel Farke is with Bryn and Tony.
Thanks, Emma. Well, Daniel, how does that feel?
Yes, pretty exhausting, if I'm honest, but also pretty good. Obviously, we missed an unbelievable amount of chances today. Must be one of the highest expected goals in the whole season. Yeah, scored 2 fantastic goals, but should have buried the game, of course, much more before. And if you don't do this, then you're always nervous, because against such a physically strong side who is so good at set pieces, always something can happen. We defended them really well, and also in the second half, apart from, I think, one strike when Karl was there, was an outstanding save. Yes, at one time Karl had also an idea to come out of his goal pretty far, but showed also our approach today, and also our spirit today. Then Brendan Aronson cleared this free kick with his head, and everyone celebrates it like a goal. Exactly with the spirit you win games in the crunch time period of football. Of course, it was a well-deserved win, top performance regarding was the 3rd game within 7 days after 2 difficult away games. Yes, and of course, priceless 3 points for us.
With the stadium going increasingly crazy with news coming in from elsewhere, did you see what you wanted to see in terms of your players staying calm in the middle of all of that?
Well, first of all, it has helped that the fire was burning. We were more on it and felt, okay, today we can achieve something really special, and it could be an important step forward. So the fire was definitely burning, but we also had to make sure that we are not over-motivated and lose the calmness. I think this was also a second key, that we stayed cool also in our work against the ball. They changed a bit the base formation. We reacted in the right way in our pressing, didn't allow them chances. Yes, created so many good opportunities to stay cool and composed and calm in this heated atmosphere was, of course, also important, yes.
I think at 2-1 as well, they were always in the game, weren't they, to a point, yet we should have been clearly out of sight. Yeah. But I thought the way that we handled it in the last 20 minutes or so, not easy, but we did well. We came through that period well.
Absolutely, yeah, because normally in the last minutes, one long ball after another flies into your box and some set pieces, but we kept them away from our goal. So we were good in possession, good on the counter-attack, and pressed them still high. So they were quite rarely, sometimes perhaps here and there a corner, but not often. And I think this approach was important because, yeah, if 20 balls or crosses come in, then sometimes out of coincidence the deflected ball can go in. But if just 1 or 2 come in, then we're also strong enough to defend it. And it was a key also, like to not allow them to play that much in our half.
Ultimately, good result for Leeds elsewhere as well. So the position looks a little bit healthier at the top of the table. Would you agree?
Yes, of course. So we know that we're in a good position, but nothing is done yet. So we've also experienced this during the season. There are always twists and turns around the corner. We've also seen today how difficult it is to win away game on the road, also against teams who are fighting against relegation. It's always difficult. We have a very, very difficult game upcoming on Good Friday, and we have to stay focused. So we know we're on a good point tally right now, but we'll definitely need a few more points if we right now are too excited and stop doing what we're doing, hard work and delivering also with points. Then we won't have something to cheer about already in the beginning of May. And of course, this is what we would like to do. We have to stay focused and keep going, especially with this type of performances and also this spirit.
The fans will have a good night though, won't they?
They are allowed to celebrate today and also to enjoy the Saturday perfect weather to do this. So they're definitely allowed to have 1 or 2 cool drinks anyhow. We will be in a Thorpe Arch tomorrow.
Are we allowed, Daniel?
1 or 2, I would say.
Thank
yes,
you. Okay, I'm following your lead.
I'll follow orders as well. Thank you, Daniel. Congratulations. Good one.
Congratulations. Excellent.
Are we allowed, Daniel? Can
Yes,
we have
we
a
are.
few?
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
are.
You're our Daniel
Brendan's
Farke, aren't
the
you?
boss.
You're our
I'm the
boss. But look, he was talking about that, the fans can go and celebrate. But for Daniel Farke and the squad, it is back to business as soon as possible, looking ahead to that game on Good Friday against Oxford. What's the message going to be? What are the key areas that they're going to be working on?
Stewie talks about it's rest and recovery. You would see just watching the players that didn't get on today, that were on the bench, they're doing extra running out there on the field, they're getting their minutes in, or putting the energy levels in so that everybody comes in tomorrow together. There's no the starting 11 and the outers. So that's good to see. And I think the message is rest and recovery. They'll go through the tactics. And honestly, I'm so excited because that today for me, that was job done.
Oh, Bridgie, don't speak too soon. That makes me nervous.
2 home games to come.
Stuart's going to take a more calm and pragmatic approach, aren't you? That Oxford, he's not.
He's going holiday. He knows it could be done in a couple of weeks when he's away.
Yeah, that's true. That Oxford game, though, I mean, they're looking over their shoulder. They want to get themselves as far out of the danger zone as possible. And we do know that we've learned from experience that teams, when they're in that position and they have something to play for, again, it's not as cut and straight as you think it's going to be.
Yeah, well, we've seen it. Was it last weekend or weekend before when they beat Sheffield United? Yeah. So they're more than capable of getting a result. They have a very, very good manager in Gary Rowett, who knows exactly what it takes to get results in this league. So the boys can't relax. They've got to be excited. Like they've got to wish that game was on Tuesday, to go and try and win and put yourself on the verge of promotion. It's a game. They're fighting for their lives, and Marcelo Bielsa used to always tell us that when somebody's trying to pull themselves up, that's when you're at your most dangerous, because it's like if you're falling off a cliff or whatever and you're looking a hand up, you're going to pull whoever's giving you a hand. You know what I mean? You're going to pull them down. So that was always an example he used with us to try and keep us motivated. So it's a difficult game for them, but the boys will be on a high now. There's no bigger what's the right word? There's no bigger. What's the right word? Bridgie, help me out.
I'm just
incentive
there you go.
to go and win that game and be possibly 1-2 points away from promotion.
That is all the incentive that you need, isn't it? Well, all the incentive you need is to go on your holidays. You're looking forward to that. Have a lovely time. Michael Bridges, are you with us on Good Friday?
I am not, no.
They're both bailing on me. Okay, well, cheers for that, lads. Look, Leeds United are back at the top of the Championship table after beating Preston 2-1 here at Elland Road. I will be back with you on Good Friday, but for now, have a good Saturday.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Well, the game's really heating up now. Keeping that energy flowing. Talk about control. Constant, steady performance, no matter the weather. Lovely charge forward there. That was smart play.
Tanaka shoots! How about that? Absolutely brilliant from Tanaka. Ramazani!
Superb goal from Ramazani.
Thomas is actually going to hit this and he scores. Oh, he's gone in 5 or so minutes away from a 5th win in a row. Not down!